Fragmentation will continue to exist with the number of channels and the media that our clients want to engage their customers with. Measurement is a huge opportunity to try and bridge some of the gap there. Some of the areas that we've been exploring with our clients and with our partners is to look at correlatory based metrics like attention to really sort of power through and give us a unifier across the different channels that we operate in. And that will help us from the planning phases all the way through to our optimization on an ongoing basis. Really start getting to the heart of how does someone engage with an advertising rather than whether they've just seen it or have an opportunity to see.
Mm-hmm. And where does incrementality come to fit into that new environment, and how can that be acted upon?
So incrementality is absolutely crucial. If you're thinking about the measurement hierarchies, most large clients have MMMs, in place, and that's a great, your understanding of what's driving business effects at a large scale. But when it gets down to optimization or optimizing your media plans, making sure that every single pound, dollar, euro, whatever currency it is spent most wisely. You really need to have incrementality baked in from the start. And I think that gives you a level of sensitivity with your media planning and buying that will give you an edge to make sure that you're optimizing towards the thing that's going to drive you incremental business success, whether that be new customers to brand, whether that be a customer who wasn't likely to purchase and has as a result of your advertising efforts.
You were on a panel earlier today talking about attention.
Yes.
And have we cracked the code yet for how creative quality can influence the outcome of attention?
I think we're making strides towards it. I don't think we've quite cracked the code yet. If we think about creative being 70% of the final sort of influencer of whether a consumer buys a brand or not, I think that we are uncovering the signals to help with creative development. I talked about in the panel, we've either gone too far with personalization on the individual level or too broad. And things like attention are going to really help us to hone in on what are the drivers of success or the triggers for behavior, but also continue to create human-centered campaigns that elicit emotion, drive attention, and really capture that in an era where attention is incredibly hard to grab, and particularly when you think about your mobile phone.
And we're used to the idea that context also shapes outcome. Typically, I guess we think of context as being rather channel specific or about a single modality. But I think we're at this time when we're seeing the coming together of CTV, retail media, and social media all kind of converging. What does that do to context?
It gives us an opportunity. I think that we're particularly leaning into trying to understand all the different data points with open intelligence and start to think about the consumer in a more holistic fashion that allows us to not only bring in the influence of context, but also what a customer may have done in the past, what their relationships with their interests are. And I think that allows us to elevate the creative stories we talked about in the previous question, but also to extract and find the right level of connection with the context we're appearing in. And so when you think about, it's quite obvious when you're thinking about the open web, when you have I'm particularly sort of I'm looking for a new bike. So reading bike review pages, the context is obvious, but when that's in a feed, and what I'm looking for, the other data points may be a better assist or guidance in helping an advertiser to really understand what's going to elicit a positive action from me.